Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here. I am so excited to share another project with you for Trinity Stamps. I have gathered a few supplies from Trinity Stamps for my card making project. To create the background, I'll be using this lovely tree frame panel die. This is available in two sizes, an A7 and A2. I'll be using the smaller 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 metal die for my project. I'm going to show you how to use the Spellbinder hot foil system, and this ripe pumpkin collection is going to be perfect for our beginner project. This collection comes with the solid pumpkin hot foil die plate, a pumpkin outline, and a die to cut out the foiled pumpkin image. It also comes with 2 tendrils and a jack-o'-lantern face for Halloween. For the sentiment, I'm going to use the Thankful and Grateful stamp set. As I create my card, I'll bring in a few additional supplies. As always, I encourage you to use what you have in your craft collection, but if you'd like a list of all the items I'm using, links to each one can be found in the description below. Let's get started with the project. We're going to start with the foiling process. I will be using the Spellbinder's Glimmer hot foil machine. I have plugged it in, and now I'm going to toggle the switch on the back to turn it on. The power light is lit up, and now I just need to wait for this light here to turn green, and that will signify that the plate is ready to use. I'm using a gold foil. I recently taught a Cricut foiling class where I used a pressure transfer foil. This type of foil requires heat to transfer. The paper you use should also be designed for hot foiling. This smooth, heat-resistant paper is specifically made for the Spellbinder's Glimmer system. I have tried to use other cardstocks, and some of them work and some of them don't. I did get the best results with this one here. To start, I'm going to cut a piece of foil a little larger than that pumpkin hot foil plate. Now everyone does the next part a little bit differently. The Glimmer machine instructions tell you to place the die plate onto the heated surface, let it get hot, then place the foil and the paper over the top. You'll make your hot plate sandwich and then run it through the machine. Every time I followed these steps, things shifted and I ended up with a ghosted, incomplete image. So I discovered another way to make this work for me. I'm going to layer all my pieces together before I put them on the hot plate. The foil is going to sit atop the cardstock. Make sure that the color side is facing up and the dull side is touching the cardstock. I like to center it with plenty of room around the sides. I'm going to place the die pattern side down over the foil, and then I'll use some repositionable tape to secure all the layers together. This is what prevents it from shifting when I move it over to the die cutting machine. My light is now green, so I'll pick up all the layers and place them on the hot plate with the die plate facing down. Be careful because that Glimmer plate is hot. You don't want to touch it when you set this in place. I'm going to push the timer button. This will continue to flash as it heats the metal die plate. Once the timer stops blinking, I'm going to disengage the plate from the machine. Now I can bring in my die cutting machine and layer my 2 plastic plates over the top and run it through. This is where everything always shifts for me and I end up with that ghosting or partial image. Having it all adhered together prevents that shift. After I run it through, I'm going to remove the 2 top plates and use the magnetic tool to lift the layers and place them on the silicone mat. The plate and die are very hot, so be careful. I am going to let this cool a moment before I remove the foil. Everything's nice and cool now. I have removed the tape, and now I'll slowly pull off the foil to see the gorgeous image it created. Isn't that lovely? I did get some foil on the corners. This pumpkin is going to be cut out, so I'm not worried about it. But if you need to remove mistakes like this, a sand eraser does the trick. All right, now we're going to cut this out and the rest of the pieces we need for the card. I have already cut out some leaves from gold cardstock using the Garden Flowers collection. This is one of my favorites from Trinity Stamps. I'm also going to cut 2 of the A2 tree frame panels from white cardstock. I'm going to cut out my foil pumpkin, the pumpkin outline, and the tendrils. I want the outline of the pumpkin to pop up off the card, so I'll cut 3 of these from white cardstock as well. For my sentiment, I'm going to heat emboss the word grateful in gold. I'm going to prep my cardstock with some anti-static powder, then I'll place this in my MISTI. I am using a clear embossing ink, but you could also use a gold pigment ink for this project. After I sprinkle it with some fine gold embossing powder, I can heat set it with the heat tool. Now we have all the pieces ready and we can make our project. In my tray, I have the parts for the pumpkin, my leaves and tendrils, and a flower that I cut from vellum. For my card base, I chose a deep navy blue. I think navy and gold are such a lovely pairing. I'm going to start by layering the 2 tree panels together. I want to create a shadow box effect, so I'm placing some foam tape on the back of the top layer, and then I'll offset this slightly to create a layered effect. After they are adhered together, I need to trim off this little bit at the base to make it even with the lower part of the panel. These layers are going to sit over the navy card base. You can choose any color of cardstock for your background or create a blended background with inks or sprays. For the pumpkin outline, I have 3 die cuts. I wanted these to have some dimension, but they're way too thin for foam tape. Layering the die cuts together will give me the dimension I want. As you can see, once they're stuck together, they create a thicker layer that pops up over the pumpkin. I am adhering this with a little bit of liquid adhesive. Be careful when you lay this in place because you don't want to get any of that glue on the foil. It can be difficult to remove. My pumpkin is going to sit on some foam tape near the center of the card. Don't you just love that mix of blue, white, and gold? It's such an elegant color palette. Now all we need to do is adhere the rest of the pieces in place. As I do, I would love it if you took a moment to let me know that you're enjoying today's video by tapping the thumbs up icon or leaving me a comment below. In the comments, let me know if you're new to creating with hot foil or if you have any tips that you would like to share. We always enjoy learning from other creators. All right, I'm going to layer my vellum flower over here. This was cut using another die in the Flower Garden collection. To finish it off, I'm going to add a twine bow at the top, and then I'll adhere that sentiment in place. I cut this out using the Thankful and Grateful die set. You could also use the word thankful from that collection. Of course, we can't call this project finished without a little bit of bling. These soft golden hour baubles are a perfect match. With the pickup stick, I'll adhere them in place and then I'll share the completed card with you. Here is that elegant gold and navy card that we created today. After adhering the baubles in place, I wrapped gold thread around the sides. The tree panel plate has some lovely embossed lines, so I enhanced those with thread. I love how well it frames this piece. I hope that you enjoyed today's hot foil tutorial and learned a few new ways to use these fun fall Trinity Stamps products. For more creative ideas, join the Trinity Stamps Inspiration Group on Facebook. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope this project inspired you to try something new. If you have any questions about this project or the supplies I used, feel free to post those in the comments below. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.